So, this has happened. I have been in and out of court with a complex called Blue Harmony. I've been talking to you all kind of vaguely about it. I was at work today and I got a phone call from my daughter telling me that the marshals were here. And even though I filed a writ to stop the eviction from happening, I filed an appeal.
All right, folks, I'll spare you the whole video. It's about 5 minutes, but like you heard, that is an individual being evicted. And obviously, they didn't expect things to be set outside, but they were. And this is happening more and more. We're going to talk about what's happening in the rental market here. We're going to come up in a few minutes and talk about that. And things are about ready to hit the fan in the very near future by the end of this year. So later in the report, we're going to get to that. Why? Because debt is spiraling out of control. Individuals are falling underneath the wheel, the debt wheel, so to speak, and not able to keep up with the costs. We're seeing rising vacancies, falling rents, and the real estate market just sent another warning sign. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's hear from a few other people because it's the consumer that's really struggling, folks. And every day we're seeing more people putting their situations out there on social media. So it's very interesting to follow. Now with this eviction, this was someone that had basically a slumlord landlord. All right. And that's not my words. Basically, she's saying that nothing that she asked to get fixed was fixed. Rodent problem. I think she mentioned even bugs of some sort. Faulty faucets, leaks, rust, even some mold from some of the other videos she put out. So it's been an ongoing battle, and she sounds like she had the money to pay it, but she stopped paying because of these repairs that she thought were her legal right to get fixed were not repaired. So she ended up getting evicted even though she had the money. As you heard, she's working a job. And this is happening more and more as well. Landlords just letting the properties go, knowing that there's a housing crunch, a housing shortage, as some call it. And we've seen landlords just greedflation over the past few years. Some of them rightfully so because the cost of owning a home has also went up. So some of these increases are justified. But a lot of times what happens is when there's some inflation and when it's persistent, companies and even landlords, they'll raise their prices even more because they have the justification of the overall inflation to raising their rents and rising prices, right? But let's hear from a few other people. We're going to get into the real estate situation here in just a little bit, but take a look at this one. All right, here's someone living, I think she said in a mobile home. I didn't watch the whole thing. I apologize about any curse words. Maybe have the kids' ears plugged if you have kids around.
A little rant of the day. Why is this economy so freaking expensive? I don't understand it. Like, what has happened to this world? My husband should be able to easily support us on his income as a Boilermaker. And somehow it doesn't work. And don't get
Boilermaker, haven't heard that one in a while.
Don't get me wrong, I do not live outside my means. I live in a trailer house. I pay my dad $500 a month as a contract for deed. We have a payment on one vehicle. The other one is paid off. We don't have payments on anything.
I think I hear the reason why they're having financial struggles. Kids are expensive. Maybe she's babysitting. Maybe they're not hers. I don't know.
Anything else. My phones are still under my dad, my husband's and mine. So we literally pay $100 a month for our phones. We literally have nothing. Nothing. We buy groceries. I have 3 kids. And that's it. If someone like me...
Wait, did she say 3? Why does it sound like 10?
And that's it. Kids. Groceries. I have 3 kids.
3 kids. Why does 3 kids sound like 20 back there? All right, I gotta fast forward through this.
So long. I feel awkward making videos because literally everything that I own is 1, maternity clothes, or 2, don't fit me, is so out of style that I feel like I just don't look like all these cute people on here.
Moral of the story, folks, we've heard the statistics of how many people are barely scraping by, struggling paycheck to paycheck. People with families, it's even higher, folks. I mean, there's no official report or estimate out there that I know, but I'm thinking it's 85 to 90% living paycheck to paycheck. People that have families and kids that are, not adults, like 18 and under. That was MTBZLBTRB. That's the screen name for that last person. Not sure how to pronounce that. But maybe check her out and give her a follow if you want to follow up on her ordeal. And we might follow up here in future videos. But the bottom line is, folks, a lot of the things we were told were not true. Especially looking back over the past year, what was going to happen this year. We were told cost of living was going to come down. All kinds of promises that haven't happened. The wars were going to end. Economy's going to boom. Jobs are going to come roaring back to the U.S., folks. None of that's happened. And in fact, if you look at the other promises that were made, tariffs are going to bring back a bunch of money. We're going to pay off the debt. Folks, the national debt's still exploding. We just surpassed $37 trillion. Consumer debt, which is people's credit cards, balances, loans, etc., that continues to explode higher. So that hasn't come to fruition yet. We're 7 months into this year now, going on 8 months. In a couple more weeks, it'll be 8 months. And nothing that was promised has really happened, has it? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know down in the comments. But I'm going to show you the charts, the details today, the info. It's going to back up pretty much everything that I'm saying. Because there's some people out there that say that I'm negative, that I'm doom and gloom, that I just make this stuff up. No, folks. The debt is still rising. In other words, it's getting worse. I'll just read it to you through AI, Google AI here. The national debt has recently surpassed $37 trillion. Here's a breakdown. Growing debt burden. The national debt is currently at all-time high, exceeding $37 trillion. According to the recent Treasury Department reports, the figure is considerably higher than the U.S. GDP, which was $30.3 trillion at the end of the second quarter of 2025. This translates to a debt-to-GDP ratio of 120%. That's very bad, folks. Another thing that's happening is the cost of living and the rising costs, rising prices are exceeding incomes, of course, right? It continues to get worse as we said it would. Take a look at this. And folks, this is a recent report. August 18th just came out. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation, with some jobs falling further behind than others. Overall, wages are not keeping up with inflation. Some jobs, of course, worse than others. But overall, average people are getting further in debt. Even people working, you heard from a few people that were working, and they're having problems. Obviously, if the person that got evicted from the beginning of the video, if she had enough money extra, she probably would have fixed her own stuff and would have chosen not to get her things set out on the street, right? And this is just what she said. We don't have any other records besides what these people are telling us for these videos. But we know that overall, the trend is things are getting harder, things are getting more difficult. The goal on this channel is to keep you ahead of the financial curve. Hopefully you won't be in the positions that some of these people that we're watching on these videos are in right now. And maybe you're already in it, and maybe you're watching this for comfort because you're seeing how hard it really is. But without investing, without really thinking about this stuff, I would be really, really struggling right now as well. So luckily, so far, I found a way to make multiple streams of income. Investments have paid off pretty well, so I try to integrate some of that on this channel. All right, right now, let's hear from a few more people. Then we're going to talk about what's happening in housing and real estate here in a bit.
So tired of just struggling financially all the time. Like, I hate the discourse that's like, oh no, well, that's your own fault because you bought yourself nuggets on that one night of November of 2021.
It's your fault that you're in debt because you bought chicken nuggets in 2021. Yeah, some people will say that. Some people have no choice but to eat fast food, though.
But you're still in debt. Like, shut up. Shut up. I am trying. I have been actively trying to get out of debt for over a year. Like, really trying. Constantly, like, every single month, making more than my payments and stuff. But that's hard to do. It's hard to actually take big chunks out of your debt when you're barely making ends meet as it is. And so I may not have money to put down towards my credit card, and then interest just always somehow is like so much, and it just adds back to the debt. And then I have a bunch of people telling me that I'm 23, so I should be aggressively investing and saving, but
People don't have money to invest, folks. I hear from so many people down in the comments, people that write me, email me, JJ, stop talking about investing. I have no money to invest. So I've been talking about that less lately, because when you look at it, over 70% of people really don't have much extra money, because that's the portion of the population that's living paycheck to paycheck. So instead of an investment channel, I can reach more people by talking about the struggles, but also I want this to be beneficial, not just to look at people struggling, but to learn from them and strategize and talk about how we can not be in this position. And I get it. Some people are already in that position. I'm maybe in that position next year. Who knows? The way this world's going, the way the economy's going, costs are going, cost of raising a family, everything. Let's finish up here. Then we got some other stuff to get into.
saving what? Saving what? And then don't tell me that I'm supposed to be applying to like 50 jobs a day when jobs don't want to pay me more than $15 an hour, even though I have extensive experience in what I'm applying for. What am I supposed to do with $15 an hour? I make $17 as a barista right now. You want me to do a full time for $11, $13, $15
$17 an hour she's making. Who's driving that vehicle? Somebody's listening to her talk in this video.
an hour? What is that going
Unless it's a Waymo autonomous vehicle.
to pay? And then I have taxes being taken out of every single one of my paychecks. That's like 20%. So that's
Oh no, she's driving. Okay. She's just on the different side of the car. I didn't expect that. And I saw her turn the wheel, it looks like.
$200 of every single one of my paychecks. This
is not recommended for safety, folks. Keep your eyes on the road.
I understand we got to pay taxes. I'm not talking about that, but it's like I work and not all that money comes to me at once. And I'm not complaining about taxes necessarily, although really I am, but I just need people to stop with the, oh, well, you should be saving. Oh, well, you should be investing. Oh, well, you should be eating out less. Like sometimes I don't have time to cook for myself, or sometimes I'm so pressed that I can't get up and cook for myself. So I need people to stop. I need people that don't understand to stop giving their 2 cents on something that is so far from relatable to them. Because, bro, you know what it's like to try to pay down your debt, realize that you don't really have the income to do that while still sustaining yourself, as in literally rent, gas, and groceries. That is it. I live a very, very much below my means and still try to do your best. Okay, I can't necessarily pay down my debt. I'm not really like making a whole at it with what I can contribute. Okay, so I try to do balance transfers, even though I have good credit score, even though I have good payment history, even though I have a long credit history, I'm still denied. And so I
know what some of you are going to say right now. What are you going to say? You're going to say, look what's in your hand. Look what you're drinking. You could have drank water for free. You're buying Coca-Cola. You need to cut back. You could have bought an older car. Look how new that interior is. You could have bought an older car. Right? But then your expenses might exceed the cost of a new car because you have to fix it every 2 months. Who knows, right? The point is, folks, people just like her can't pay off their debt. They're trying to pay down their debt. They can't even do that because of the interest. Now it's accumulating. And it gets to a point where so many people are in the same position where they can't make it, that the economy has nowhere to go but down. Now, for many, it looks like the economy is just exploding, taking off. Everything's fine. Stock market's doing great. Absolutely, stock market's doing great. Who owns most of the stocks? Well, it's most of the top 10% that own about 90% of stocks. So it's not the bottom 90% getting rich off of a rising stock market, right? So think about that. But a couple other news items to get into here, folks. Real estate and housing. Let's go ahead and talk about it. We're seeing the trend continue softening home prices. Now, if you look at a lot of the news headlines, they're being kind of deceptive, right? What they're doing is they're citing sources that only look at certain specific details with prices, like the Case-Shiller price index only looks at the 20 largest cities, and even Realtor.com, it kind of cherry picks the data. But when you look at the broad picture on home prices, let's go ahead and take a look at a 5-year chart here and see what's happening for real. Right here, median sales price, folks, just ticked down. The second quarter numbers are out. First quarter was $423,000 median home price. Second quarter which ended in June, $410,000, folks. So from quarter to quarter, we're down $13,000. And now at $410,000, you have to go all the way back to the third quarter 2021 to have the price that low. But yet you won't see that if you just look at the news headlines and some reports and some of the numbers that are being put out there. Even the real estate websites aren't really giving you the full picture of the median price. So what does that mean? That means all these people living paycheck to paycheck are priced out of the housing market, and prices are finally starting to reflect that. More people putting their house on the market because they're financially strapped. Therefore, inventory is rising as well. So prices falling, inventory rising. We're finally seeing this long-awaited shift in real estate in the U.S. housing market. Right, so that brings us to this inventory chart right here. Recent data just came out at the end of July, if I can talk. 1,102,000. So just under 1,103,000. That's up from the previous month, 1,082,000. And you have to go all the way back to hit that level, all the way back to November 2019, folks. So almost a 6-year high in inventory, right? So things are shifting, things are changing, not any sort of crash. That won't happen unless we see some sort of bank panic or a string of bank failures, which the powers that be are trying very hard to not let that happen. But even without that bank panic or bank failure, financial crisis like we had in 08, 2009, and 10, things are changing, things are shifting because the debt levels are so outrageous, so enormous.
Into your bills, taking this opportunity to price gouge the you, and if you don't pay attention, they could do it without you even realizing. I had a $388 car insurance bill come out the other day, and it was supposed to be significantly less than that. And I called them to ask them about it, and they said that the cost of bodily harm has gone up, like inflation, and I switched and
bodily injury, I think, is the right term. Yeah, they're raising their prices, folks. Check around, especially for car insurance and home insurance. Check around, get quotes, because once they get you into their company, a lot of these companies, they'll just raise prices knowing that people may not shop around, that they're just comfortable, that they don't want to take the time to shop around. So it really pays to check around, folks.
ended up saving $2,000 a year.
And keep a clean driving record. Stop driving like a-hole and trying to speed everywhere and passing people, cutting people off, right? Keep a clean driving record. Be courteous on the road. If somebody's trying to merge over with their signal on, let them in. Don't pull up and try to block them. All this crazy road rage stuff, it only gets you into trouble and financial trouble too, because your car rates are going to go up because you're exposing yourself to you're more accident prone when you drive like that, all right? Anyway.
Now my car insurance bill is going to be $132 with a different company. I just want to say that a lot of these companies are relying on our exhaustion and not wanting to deal with this shit and not paying attention because we're so drained by everything that's happening that we're not going to go like shop around or switch companies or like go to a new grocery.
People are busy, working multiple jobs, stressed out. Companies are taking advantage of that. They're assuming that people don't have time to shop around or don't want to take the time because they're so exhausted, and they're just going to take advantage of you and price gouge.
Store that we just have our routines and we're just going to sit there and take it. It's insane when you are taking care of kids and a home and all these other things. I feel literally today like I got hit by a bus. I'm exhausted. And I've been sort of judging myself about that today. I'm like, why are you so fucking exhausted? Because I'm tired of having to try this hard to survive. That's why. I'm tired of needing to literally walk on pins and needles and pay attention to every single thing that's happening or else.
Wow, folks. So things are continuing to head in that direction, the direction that we said it was going to head in. But I see a crisis coming before the end of the year. The question is, will they come to everyone's rescue, or will they let prices fall where they may? That is the big question, folks, because if prices fall where they should fall, cost of living, cost of housing, rents, everything should go down drastically. It depends on the reaction to what's going to happen here. There's a crisis brewing, folks. It's been brewing for a while. It's not going to collapse overnight unless, again, something snaps in the banks. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments, folks. Keep stacking, everybody. Bye for now. Peace.